Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Piofiore, Fated Memories. I believe we'll have an ending for Dante here, for better or worse. We'll see what we end up with. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story.
Can you help? Let's get him out of the rain.
I'm still disappointed in Nicola. Right. Nicola lent a shoulder to Dante so that he could lift him up.
I think he's unconscious now, isn't he?
I tried my best to prop up Dante by lifting his other shoulder, and we headed toward the ruins. Emilio, you must have heard all of this commotion. We placed Dante next to the altar.
Can you tend to his wounds? I'm going outside to help Gilbert.
But, Nicola, I thought you left the Falzone family. Well, he did, but Dante's still his cousin.
I'll explain everything if we all return to town alive. Please, Liliana, don't let Dante die on us before we return.
I'll do my best. Nicola. I immediately tended to Dante's wounds as Nicola walked away. I need to stop his bleeding now. Should have been thinking about that since the first cut he got. I tore my shawl and used it as a bandage to wrap around his wounds. I took Dante's bloody clothes off and twisted them to use as more bandages. Oh, and I'm not getting shy about taking his clothes off. I felt a sharp pain in my hand. Have I been poisoned by that dagger? It looks like the blade Yang threw grazed my hand, too. I felt another sharp pain in my heart, seeing the blood roll along the side of my hand. Just being grazed hurts this much. I couldn't fathom how much pain Dante is in now. Well, I guess if it was a super sharp blade, it could be like a paper cut, which are so ironically much more painful than other kinds of cuts. Much more serious ones. The blood from my hand dripped down into the pool of blood seeping from Dante. Ah, our blood is combining, and that will break the seal. Dante, please don't die on me. Without laying another eye on my wound, I continued to try and stop Dante's bleeding. Huh? I looked up, feeling cold drips of water coming from above the altar. A leak? Now's not the time to look at this leak. Bandage him! The water wasn't dripping from the ceiling. It looked like the font near the altar was overflowing. I thought it was empty the last time we checked. The drops of water were clear and beautiful.
The fountain of youth?
I can't use the water on his wounds, since it would cause an infection, but I guess I can use it to wipe his face. I don't know. I mean, I guess if it looks that clean, but still, for all you know, that could be stagnant water that's been standing there for an unknown amount of time. I dipped a clean end of my shawl into the water in the font. Dante. I gently wiped the dried blood from Dante's face, then wiped off the blood on his lips. After intensively tending to Dante's wounds, his bleeding stops. Dante, you're alive!
Yes. Somehow I feel a little better. Have you been with me all along?
His voice sounded a lot stronger than before. Dante, thank God. I wiped the tears from my eyes with the back of my hand. Dante's complexion had a lot more color, and his breathing seemed to return to normal. Then, all of a sudden, I heard footsteps approaching. That was quite an ordeal. Are you all right? No! Seriously, Emilio, you could have come out earlier. At least after Nicola walked away. Emilio! He suddenly appeared in front of us.
Do I look all right to you?
Exactly. I'm not sure if Dante's glare was because of the pain or because Emilio's question. I hadn't meant it as a greeting, but I suppose that was uncouth of me. I do apologize. Well, why are you here, Emilio? Wait, how did you get in here? The Visconti and the Lalshu are fighting outside. And I doubt my answer would be of true benefit. The information now would be trivial to you. Oh, or is he an angel and he just disappeared?
Well then, why did you come, Emilio? You must be here for a reason.
I thought I mentioned it before. Return here when the mark is prominent. Emilio gave a smile like that of a playful child. I was waiting for you two to return. I assume you remembered my words. Which brought you back here?
The mark. So you were referring to the mark on her.
Duh! That should have been obvious when he first said it in the first place, much less after it actually flared up. Isn't that why we came here? Indeed. I also assume that her mark has since become prominent. If so, then that means you are the rightful successor of the Falzone family. Uh, because we did it? What do you mean? How would my mark prove Dante's blood? Because if it was anyone else, the mark wouldn't have flared up? I had no clue what he was talking about. Emilio looked at me and responded gently. We needed one with the blood of the Falzone and the Key Maiden in order to break the seals to the relic. At least, I think that's what you both knew. The fact is, there is one more element. Huh? Security was required in the process. After all, what lies here is that which is important and critical to all. So he couldn't appear during the fighting? Is that what he's saying? Emilio continued to speak without any change in expression. The rightful successor to the Falzone family and the Key Maiden needed to be united. Only then would the mark on the Key Maiden grant them the right to break the seal. United? Mm-hmm. By united, you don't mean...
Lying.
As I stood there, confused by what he said, Dante looked distrustfully at Emilio. Emilio replied calmly. Well, Roma did change color, didn't it? You must know what I'm referring to. He's like, please don't make me explain it out in crass words. Well, the font of the altar filled on its own. That is proof that you gained the right required. The font is essential for this blessing. You are now ready to break the seal to the relic. Dante was quietly listening to Emilio, who spoke with a childish smile. Congratulations, Dante. The relic is yours. You may now use it to negotiate with the church. Then again, most of the threats against the Falzone are gone now, wouldn't you say? The leader of the Lashu is dead. The remaining members will soon be exterminated by Gilbert Redford. And Gilbert won't be a problem? It's also been decided that those in the church who assisted the Lashu will be exterminated. Exterminated? That's much more harsh than I imagined the church would deal with people. Exterminated? If you could do that, why wasn't that done much sooner? Seeing my frustration by his reply, Emilio frowned slightly for the first time. Well, that would have been ideal, but it isn't as easy as it sounds. We have politics at work inside the church. We didn't have much choice aside from letting the situation play out. I can't say I don't feel remorseful. I'll probably hear about that later on in somebody else's route. Very few of the church knew of the relic. And after many generations, those who were informed brushed it off as a mere legend. Not surprising, considering it's been close to 2,000 years since the Falzone became the gravekeepers. Yeah, that's a bit of time for things to get lost in the shuffle. We all needed to show the church that the Falzone was worth supporting. Emilio spread his arms out wide, as if giving his blessing, then spoke in a grand tone. And now, the Falzone have proven they are the rightful gravekeepers and rulers of this land. The water in the font is proof of it. Your wounds don't hurt anymore, do they, Dante? It's because of the blessing from the relic. Now that he mentions it, it is like the fountain of youth. Dante's blood seemed to clot from the moment I wiped his face using the water from the font. At this point, I couldn't deny the fact that the water possessed this mysterious power. Maybe Dante drank a small bit of water when I was wiping his lips. Dante was still not letting his guard down against Emilio. He glared at him sharply still. Dante slowly opened his mouth.
If the Falzone have been rightfully redeemed by the church, then there's no need for me to use the relic to prove my family's status.
Emilio blinked with a blank look on his face. Then he gasped and stared back at Dante, speaking in a surprised tone. You are too pure to be a mafia boss. What if the church betrays you again?
That won't happen. We already know how to break the seal to the relic. They will be risking the truth of the relic getting out in the open if they betray us. I doubt the church is that stupid. Therefore, I don't see the need to use the relic.
That makes sense. What happened this time isn't a common occurrence after all. Rest assured that your family is safe, so long as you're alive and you relay your duties to your children to come. Emilio, does that mean... One of the reasons why this happened is because proper steps weren't taken for Dante to head the family. You know what I'm talking about, right, Dante? Your father, the previous Falzone boss, Silvio Falzone, was assassinated before passing on his duties. Which is why you didn't have the proper information about the relic. Ah, I see. That's why we didn't know where the seal was and exactly what to do.
True. I was supposed to inherit the duties in full when I became the boss.
But that's awfully risky when they're in the mafia, as mafia members tend to die to violence. And that gave the opportunity to those who despise the Falzone to make their move. The duty of a disciple is to prevent such an event from happening, but our disciple Orlock was a bit of an irregular, so to speak. What does that mean? Orlock? Emilio's words reminded me of Orlock, who sacrificed himself to protect me. Oh, poor Orlock. I didn't fully understand who he was, even after he appeared in front of me so many times. What were Orlock's duties? What did he have to bear as a disciple? The easiest way to explain it is that he was trained by the church to be their sword. His mission was to protect the Key Maiden and to report any problems relating to you two or the relic back to the church. And as I said earlier, he was supposed to relay the details of the relic to Dante when his father passed, to prevent the situation from being abused. Orlock, why did you forsake your duties? But he didn't for some reason? Indeed, bad luck overlapped with worse luck. The person who oversaw Orlock was the very person behind the oppression against the Falzone. So that means Berlone was simply dragged into whatever politics were going on in the church?
Words aren't enough to express apology.
Dante was obviously not happy hearing that. I could sense he was regaining himself again. It's nice that you're returning to normal. I think you're all better now. The situation out there should resolve soon. I suppose I should take my leave now. But there's more you can explain, I think. But I guess we'll have to wait for more routes to find out. Because a lot of times, you don't get all the answers in your first playthrough. And Dante is suggested as one of the earlier routes to take. Wait! Emilio! I hurriedly tried to hold him back as he turned around to walk away again. Oh, what will happen to Berlone? Nothing will change. No, now that the last shoe is gone, I suppose there will be a change. This will be more peaceful? In any case, the lives of the people will go on. You have nothing to worry about. Can you tell me one last thing? Go ahead, but this is your last question. Make it a good one. His bright and starry eyes were fixed on me. Who are you? That's your question? He's an angel, I bet. He said he was with the church, but it seemed he knew far more than anyone there. His youthful appearance was also deceiving, as he seemed to instead be a wise sage. I am. Emilio gave a gentle smile. I am a descendant of the one who helped the very first Falzone build the grave here. The Falzone family lived on this land to guard the relic, and we watched from within the church to oversee its care.
I've heard from my father before. There's a family that exists within the church that supports the Falzone family.
Our duty is simply to oversee. I don't know. I think you still slacked off in your duties just a bit here, seeing as how all of this stuff went down. My intervention here is actually something out of the ordinary. But the church was at fault this time, so I had to intervene. It should have been earlier! He laughed, then closed one eye jokingly, as if signaling something to us. I'd appreciate it if you kept my existence a secret. Now then, I think I'm done here. If you'll excuse me, I will always be watching over your stars. My stars? Wait! You already tried that once. And besides, you said that was your last question. I didn't have a chance to say farewell. He turned his back and walked away. What a mysterious person. Both of us were in awe of the oddly divine aura that he exhibited. We were still dazed at what happened, and stood quietly in the ruins.
Dante!
Yeah, how do we explain this? Nicola came running toward us, snapping us back to reality.
We're done getting rid of the rats. I hope you had a chance to rest, Dante. I have to say, what a waste of a good coat. Did you have to get so much blood on it?
Never mind the blood. There's no fixing all those cuts.
I could have saved my coat if you came here a lot earlier.
Yeah, everybody was late. What's up with that? Everybody showing up one by one? At the last possible second? Dante responded a bit angrily at Gil's playful words. Hearing Dante's retort to Gil made Nicola sigh with relief. Seeing he's got some energy there.
Dante, I'm glad you're all right. I'm not all right. I need answers from you, Nicola.
But first, I think you need to see a doctor. It's not like you're cured, Dante.
Actually he is.
But
let's save the rest for another day. I just didn't talk to you about.
Gil lent a shoulder to Dante, and Nicola quietly helped prop up his other shoulder. Why doesn't he drink a little bit more of that water? In fact, everybody should have a little, since I'm sure they probably all have a few little wounds. By the time we stepped out of the ruins, the sky was painted crimson. That's not crimson. That's orange. Standing on the now Silent Hill. You know they're coming out with a new Silent Hill game, which I'm happy about, but why is it 2? Why don't they just start with the first one? I could tell that the long battle had finally come to an end. Yay! And now let's go make babies. You need successors.
Boss, what are you doing? You need to stay put. Lying down is only making me tired.
Sometimes sleeping too much just makes you more sleepy.
No, you get yourself down. She told you to stay put too.
Lena's right, Dante. We don't want your wounds to open. I'll get you a cafe latte, so please stay put on the sofa. I guess you really didn't take too much of that healing water. Dante wasn't happy, but he listened and quietly sat himself up on the sofa. I'm guessing I'm probably one of the few he'll listen to for that. Carlo was rubbing himself against Dante as if trying to console him. Carlo's like, I'm on your side, Dante. What happened felt like so long ago. I pondered while getting his coffee prepared. We came back to the Falzone Manor, then had the doctor attend to Dante's wounds. The doctor was surprised that he was still alive after sustaining that kind of injury. Everything that happened, including what Emilio said, felt like a dream. Regardless, Dante was alive. That alone was proof that what happened back inside the ruins was real. And why did the Visconti come to the ruins that day? It seemed that Dante made a deal with Gil, back when I was abducted. Ah, yes, we finally get to hear that. The doctor was done with his examination. Dante explained to me why they suddenly appeared at the ruins.
The deal was to exchange you for my family's rights.
Ah, okay. I remember that. It was burned into my memory because of how shocking it was.
But Gilbert refused my offer and instead proposed a counteroffer.
Was this after I left the room? What was his offer? Better not be my firstborn or anything. Dante closed his eyes and took a breath before answering me.
If there was ever a situation where the Visconti was dragged into the conflict, we would work together to defeat the Lao Shu. It was a cooperative agreement. Before the Lao Shu came to power, Borlone was controlled by the Falzone and the Visconti. The Visconti separated from us to form their current family, but we still got along fairly well.
Come to think of it, crimes did only seem to increase within the past few years. The Lao Shu existed a while back, living along the back alleys of Borlone, but they were a very small group. It was only when Yang joined that things changed.
It was a lot easier and simpler for the Visconti to get rid of the Lao Shu by timing their actions with us. It's clear what his priorities were when he refused my offer for the family rights.
Just to restore the order.
He has no interest at all in gaining control of Borlone.
Really? Oh, it's lucky that both of the bosses are good men.
According to him, he's far too important to be tied to controlling Borlone, so he has no interest in the town.
He just enjoys his free time. What little he gets, probably.
He's not going to die an easy death.
Oh, stop it, Dante.
Ever since that meeting, I've been sharing what information I had with Gilbert. And not that I could disclose everything, just what I knew wouldn't harm us.
So that's why the Visconti came to the ruins that day. Dante took a sip of the latte I made. He then frowned slightly.
Lily.
He must have noticed I didn't put the usual amount of sugar in it. I don't think that's the issue.
Dante, too much sugar is bad for you. You're injured, you know. Moderation would be a good thing for you.
Ah, Nicola, welcome back.
Ah, so is he back in the family now that the arrangement's over? Nicola walked in nonchalantly, and Leo greeted him as if nothing had happened. It's been a few days since the battle at the ruins. Nicola came to visit the Falzone family to speak with Dante in private. After that, Nicola reached out to me, saying he wanted to apologize.
I wanted to end all the conflict by handing you over to the Visconti.
You had never truly betrayed Dante, had you? He was simply putting up a front to make it seem as though he betrayed the Falzone. Yeah, I had that feeling.
Speaking of which, I owe you an apology.
For my abduction?
That, and the fact that I wasn't necessarily a gentleman to you.
Well, for the most part he was, wasn't he? It's not like he manhandled me any.
I chose words that hurt you, and I pressured you to feel bad about being here.
Leading me down there to witness, the torture?
It was simply because I felt your existence as the key maiden would bring danger to Dante, as the boss of the Falzone. I know it wasn't your fault, but regardless, I took that kind of actions against you. You were also a pawn of fate, but still
That's all right, Nicola. I'm just happy to see you come here to apologize.
Liliana.
I know, everyone knows how much you care about Dante and the entire family. Dante explained to the entire Falzone family that they were working with the Visconti to defeat the Lao Shu. Therefore, he had Nicola fake a betrayal in order to infiltrate the Visconti, and that it was necessary so that they could deceive Yang. Most of the members didn't even know Nicola betrayed the family, which explained why none of them doubted Dante, speaking out as the family boss. Well, some who knew about the betrayal were surprised at hearing the speech, like Leo. He came to accept it as fact, saying that if it was top secret, then it can't be helped.
By the way, is Julia in the kitchen?
Yes.
Maybe I can get something to eat then. I'm starving here.
You didn't eat at the Visconti's place? Well, you know, time passes, Lily.
Well, the food they prepared there didn't suit my tastes.
Nothing like Julia's cooking. Nicola was working as Dante's right-hand man to help the family while Dante recovered. He was also acting as a liaison with the Visconti, keeping him busy almost every day.
I'll go with you then. I'm getting pretty hungry too.
Ah, I forgot. Leo, the lady at Regina's store, said she wanted you to see her.
Oh? Is there a lady that has her eye on you, Leo?
Regina? Maybe it's for that time I got that hooligan out of her store.
Nicola and Leo talked their way out of the kitchen like best friends. I mean, out to the kitchen? The Falzone family's reputation that had taken a hit was now starting to turn around, all thanks to the effort of everyone involved. Peace was returning to Berlone. It was a group effort. All that tension that filled the town seems like it happened just yesterday. The Lao Shu were gone, and their absence brought a greater security to the town.
The Lao Shu did leave some problems behind, but those should be dealt with soon.
I hope you heal as soon as possible, Dante.
You are too kind.
Do you think? He suddenly became quiet, pondering over something. After a moment of thinking, he looked at me and asked,
Do you want to go back to the church?
Nope. I'm good right here. By your side, like I promised I would be, remember?
Huh?
That caught me off guard. Dante continued to speak rather hesitantly.
I appreciate your looking after me since we returned from the ruins. But now that the threat is gone, if you want to go back to the church...
I should go back. I left Sister Sophia knowing things are now, but I haven't seen her for a while. I'm sure they're all waiting for me. Well, visiting's one thing, but you promised.
I see. I'm nearly back to normal, so you're free to go to the church and...
I sandwiched his cheeks with my hands on both sides, then stared into his eyes. To me, I just imagine that she's like squishing his cheeks together and he's making a fish face. Ah. Dante's so surprised, and he's blushing. But I'm not clasping his cheeks, I'm clasping his jaw. His beautiful azure eyes flickered like the Adriatic, surprised by what was happening. Dante, do you remember what you told me? I thought you said you wanted me to be by your side. Or were you lying to me?
It wasn't a lie. I promise.
Well, why are you asking me if I want to go back to the church then?
Well, I just thought you wished to go back already.
Things have changed, Doctor.
You came here only because we forced you to. You don't want to be taken away from your home, right?
I have a new home. Sure, the church is my home, but...
My feelings for you don't change, whether you're here or whether you're at the church. I just don't want to hold you here against your will anymore.
I looked deeply into his eyes and gave him my honest reply. Thank you, Dante. Your concern makes me so happy. Then again, what you said makes me feel like you were denying my feelings.
I'm sorry. I should have asked you first how you felt. I probably was too scared to ask, so I came to a conclusion on my own.
He asked her in a way that wouldn't hurt his feelings so much. Dante then looked at me seriously, his eyes locked on mine. I see that hand, hesitant around my back. Not sure if you want to grab me.
Lily, what do you want? Do you wish to return to the church?
Nope. You'd have to drag me kicking and screaming out of here now. I smiled and responded. I want to be with you, Dante.
I'm a mafia boss. We made it through this time, but there's no telling what could happen next. You could be put on the front lines of danger too. Even still, you want to be with me.
Yes, even if you are a mafia boss, even if I have to live a life of danger, I still want to be with you.
Understood.
Dante looked at me and accepted my words with resolve. He then let out a brief sigh.
You still have to go to the church, though. You need to talk to Sister Sophia.
Will you come too? Plus, I have to read the kids, another story and play with them, because I did promise them to.
Of course. Sister Sophia is your parent and guardian, isn't she?
That means he has to ask her for permission for my hand.
I need to pay my respects and explain to her what our future holds.
Thank you, Dante. I took my hands off Dante's face, knowing that his words were heartfelt and true. Everyone at church is going to be surprised. The church was still precious to me, and my home, but I want to be with Dante. I would never have expected back then to ever feel this way. But this feeling has grown to the point that was now my deepest desire. Is that the end? Oh no, we still have more. Others? Oh dear. Actually, we're going to go ahead and end it there because it seems like we're probably going to get this scene And then we're going to have, because I'm sure that's not the end for our route with Dante. I'm sure we're going to have a little bit more story left with that. So we're going to end this video here so that we'll have hopefully enough for a good ending for Dante. And then a video after that will be like the bad endings. So hope to see you in that next video or maybe some of my other ones. And I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye bye, everybody.